I'm endlessly fascinated and curious about the world around us, about business, about politics, about the arts, about culture, developments, social issues, and the people. Most importantly, about the people that are shaping our future. Every night, I get the opportunity to have conversations, to dive into conversations with thought leaders, with change makers, entrepreneurs, politicians, and everyday heroes who unpack the ideas and stories that I think matter to all of us. What's the future of our economy? What's the future of our country? How do we build stronger communities? What can we learn from music, theater, sports, politics, the arts? How does policy shape our real lives? What does leadership look like, real leadership in today's environment? If it's interesting and relevant and topical and we're talking about it, you'll hear about it here at 6 o'clock on the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. I want to have real conversations, in-depth conversations. These are ideas we're sharing. This is the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. Thanks for joining me. Welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. I wanted to give you my 10-point plan on how we solve this housing crisis problem, because I think it is a catastrophe, as Richard Lyall said. And I think we need government to really pay attention to this. Otherwise, it's going to get far worse. We're going to have out-migration. We're going to have layoffs and bankruptcies within the housing business that's not going to be able to be fixed in the future. And or if it is, it's going to end up having a massive dislocation. And I think it's going to lead to another boom in the future, which means that you go through this massive dislocation in regards to boom, bust, boom, bust, boom, bust, which just doesn't make any sense from an economic standpoint. So, number one, taxes. He said, I've heard statistics at 31%. He was talking about 34% of the cost of new housing is taxes. And importantly, the taxes come out front. And that's wrong. And so I think that we need to reduce it dramatically. Richard used the example of we tax housing like cigarettes and alcohol. We're trying to discourage consumption. We should be doing the opposite. We should be trying to encourage consumption. And so therefore, we need to dramatically reduce taxes. It shouldn't just be for new home buyers. It should be, or of single family homes and of condos. It should be for everything. I would reduce the taxes on every form of housing immediately, right away, completely. In the future, things come back, you can change things. Development charges. Growth should be paid for by society as a whole, not by young people, not by immigrants that we're welcoming into our country, not by renters that want to become homeowners. Development taxes have gone up by 1,000% in Toronto. There's a municipality north of Toronto that increased it by over something 40% just this year, when it's well known how development taxes don't make sense. So development charges have got to come down to zero for the next couple of years and should never go up the way they have in the past. Red tape. It takes longer to approve a development in a house than it does to actually build it. That makes no sense. We push paper incredibly slowly. We've increased dramatically the number of studies that have been done. We have more red tape in housing than in almost any other sector of society, other than maybe pharmaceuticals. And even there, it's an on-off switch. You're approved or you're not approved, rather than this massive amount of influence over how many amenity spaces, how many parking spaces, the building regulations, etc. It makes no sense. As of right, should be what governments are trying to do. We had this issue in Toronto about sixplexes, and we only passed it for the old city of Toronto rather than the boroughs around the balance of Toronto. It's a mistake. Sixplexes should be allowed as of right everywhere. We've got to get back to making it easier for people to build. Same thing in regards to metro, major transit station areas. We should make it as of right to build greater density, greater height, with more flexibility within 400, 800 meters of a major transit station area. NIMBYism. No other sector of society we would allow the current soda manufacturers to decide whether new soda manufacturers got to come in, or existing car manufacturers to allow. Well, actually, maybe we do have a little bit of that in the car business, or existing broadcasters to vote on whether new broadcasters should come into the market. We have built up this NIMBYism that is effectively an anti-competitive establishment that is wrong. We've got to have people that have the entire society, the entire city, the entire Greater Toronto Area or Golden Horseshoe at mind when they think about what should be done. Industrial land in Montreal, what they've done is old industrial land. They increased from 1 times density to 9 times density and allowed people to take industrial land and repurpose it as residential land. We don't in Toronto. Why not? Transit areas. I think that the major transit station areas that have been talked about for 2 years finally are getting thought about, but not nearly to the extent that they should be. Major transit station areas should be 100% mixed use, not half mixed use, half neighborhood. And you should be allowed as a right to build greater height, greater density. We want to make building transit more efficient, more effective. And the way to do that is to allow density around transit stations. The Greenbelt, we built a moat around Toronto. We built a wall around Toronto. Some of it should be protected, the conservation areas and some of the farmland, but not all of it. And every place in the world that has created such a Greenbelt has lived to regret it. We should be thinking about this. What we're doing is we're creating this wall such that the only way for our young people to afford a single family home is to jump it and commute an hour, or what they're doing, which is move to Calgary or Edmonton. And that's not what we should be wanting for them. Infrastructure. We've got to build more Ontario lines, more LRTs. We've got to make it easier for people to get to work or get around the city. We've got to create the economic environment, the vibrancy, the entrepreneurialism, the social capital that great cities grow on. And you go to Paris, you go to London, you go to New York, you go to places that are great. They've got far better transit infrastructure than we have, which means that even in a dense city, even in a large city, you can get around, you can get to that job, you can get to that baseball game, you can get to the. How many people have said, I'm not going to go to a baseball game, I'm not going to go from Mississauga to Scarborough because it just takes too long. The stress test was appropriate a couple of years ago. It's not appropriate anymore. We got to get rid of it. We should be encouraging housing consumption, not discouraging it. And finally, we need a solution to social housing. There are too many encampments around the city, and that's proof positive that we don't have enough supply. And we've got to solve it for the people at the bottom of the income scale, as well as for people everywhere else on the income scale. And that's something that can only be solved, I firmly believe, by increased supply and government involvement in private-public partnerships and or in land that is given to developers to provide social housing. That's my 10-point plan. Thanks. Good night.